So, if you've been into fragrances even a little bit in recent years, there's a strong chance you've heard of a cologne called The One by Dolce& and Gabbana, either the Eau de Parfum or Eau de Toilette version. It's one of the quintessential male date night fragrances for cool weather. It's warm, it's woody, it's sexy, it's sweet, it's inviting, it's alluring, it's a whole other list of adjectives, and it's also poor performing. So while it has an amazing scent, the performance does leave a lot to be desired. Enter Dolce & Gabbana The One Royal Night Exclusive Edition. This stays true to the original The One DNA, but it just turns things up in a few different aspects. So if you're a fan of the original The One DNA by Dolce & Gabbana, you're going to want to stick around and watch this review. Hey everybody, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Thank you for tuning in. And I just want to give a special thanks to all of you people who enjoy my content here, everyone who likes the videos, and everybody who has subscribed. I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for all the love. I do this for all of you, so without any further ado, let's continue on with what I love doing here. Reviewing fragrances and trying to be funny. Well, so I find it very hard to talk about fragrances without at some point bringing up the One line by Dolce & Gabbana, the one for men particularly. So, back in 2008, after the initial success of the One for Women line by Dolce & Gabbana, they released the One for Men as an Eau de Toilette version. Now, that was back in 2008. It was immensely successful. It was a very warm, inviting scent. It had notes of, spicy cardamom, some woody notes, another, an addition of amber to add some warmth and sweetness to it. Really popular. Then again, in 2015, they released Eau de Parfum version of the One, which was even more successful. It was essentially the EDT with just everything turned up a little bit in terms of notes. And yeah, ever since then, there have been numerous flankers, some much better than others, but at the end of the day, when people talk about the One, they're usually referring to either the Eau de Toilette version or the Eau de Parfum version. I admit, as far as the actual scent profile, as far as the blending of either of those two colognes, like top notch scents, especially for date nights in cooler weather, like really good stuff. The one issue, and for some people, the one issue, no pun intended, which for some people is quite a big issue, is the performance, or better said, a lack of performance. So we're talking very, very weak performance from the EDT and the Eau de Parfum versions, which honestly most people dislike. They dislike the lack of performance. Most guys, when they throw on a cologne, they want to go out there, they want to get noticed, right? However, if you pick one of those aforementioned fragrances, unless people are really, really up in your scent bubble, they're not going to notice the cologne you're wearing, which for some people could be a good thing. As I said before, it's a quintessential date night scent. So if you're in close proximity to your date partner, if they really like what you're wearing, but it has a weaker projection, they might just be more inclined to move closer to you and closer to you to try to smell what you're wearing even better. So it can be a good thing and a bad thing, but I think most people out there definitely complain about the performance of the EDT and the EDP. So like I said, there have been many flankers out there. They have been, some of them better than others, like I said. Some of them stay true to the original DNA. Some of them veer off on a totally different path to the point where it doesn't even really smell like the One anymore. So I'm going to bring up the One Royal Night, which is part of the exclusive edition collection from Dolce & Gabbana. This Royal Night is one of 3 exclusive editions that originally were only available in the Middle East, but I'll get to that later. So there's the one Royal Night, we also have the one Luminous Night, and the one Mysterious Night. So these 3 perfumes, colognes, make up the exclusive edition line for the one by Dolce & Gabbana. Now, out of the 3, I must say right off the bat, there are 3 really good offerings. But out of the 3, this one, the Royal Night, is the only one that stays true to the original The One DNA. So what I mean by that is, you know, starting off with the top notes, aside from the bottles are all very similar to the original The One. In fact, most of the flankers have stayed true to at least the bottle design and the bottle shape and what have you. But as far as notes go, in the exclusive edition line, this one is the only one that stays true to the original DNA, like I said. So in the top we have cardamom, basil. In the mid we have nutmeg and some pear wood. And in the base we have that amber, sandalwood, and cedar combinations. Classic The One DNA. Mixed with a little bit of labdanum here in this one. Now, I gotta say, the notes that you read can be maybe slightly deceiving. For example, in the top, yeah, there's cardamom, yeah, there's basil, but it's really hard to differentiate between the two. They're blended so well together in this one that, you know, the combination of cardamom and basil, to me, gives off a very spicy, woody note with a little bit of basil. So those 2 notes combined in the beginning give off a really sharp, woody, almost soapy note. So in the top, the cardamom and the basil are the listed main notes. But I have to be honest with you, I also get a lot of sandalwood in the top. So what I actually detect in this fragrance is cardamom, a little bit of basil, and a good dose of sandalwood in the top. In the middle, I get a little bit of nutmeg. And to be honest with you, I don't know what pear wood smells like. So I can't say whether or not I find that description accurate because I just don't know what pear wood smells like. But in the base, yeah, I definitely get amber, I get more sandalwood, I get more cedar, and a little bit of labdanum, although not really that much. You might be asking yourself, but where's the tobacco note? The tobacco note is what gave the original The One DNA such a name for itself. Well, I'll be honest with you, this one lacks the tobacco. So it's very similar to the original The One DNA, minus the tobacco, which I know a lot of you right now are going to be just closing this video because, you know, you're probably thinking if it doesn't have tobacco, then it can't be close to the original One DNA. And while I really don't want you to exit the video, I have to say, you know, I agree. There's no tobacco in this. However, every other aspect of the fragrance is turned up. So by that, I mean notes and performance. The performance on this is much better than the original one or the one EDP. It is better, but it's still not what I would call beast mode or anywhere close to that. It's not a super loud fragrance. In fact, it's rather polite, albeit a little bit tuned up from the original The One or the One EDP. So, to put it very simply, it's like Dolce & Gabbana took the One DNA, removed the tobacco, but they increased the levels of basically all the other ingredients and maybe added some more sandalwood in there too. So really, if you're a fan of the One DNA, but you're, you know, sick of the poor performance, I definitely recommend this one to you. So moving on to versatility, it's every bit as versatile as the original The One or the One EDP, very versatile, right? So this isn't gonna offend anybody. In fact, I think pretty much everybody you run into is going to enjoy the smell of this on you in public. In the office even, you could wear it in the office. However, like I said, although the performance is better and significantly so than the original or the EDP version, it's not super loud. I would call this office safe if you give yourself a couple of sprays, right? Although it might be seen as a little bit more on the sensual side as opposed to like a professional, fragrance that's suitable for office wear. But I think that nobody's really going to be offended by this. Wear it to the office if you want to, but always obviously use your best judgment in any situation. Um, I still think this remains most suitable for dates or romantic encounters. So I'm gonna say that much. As far as who is this for? What age group? Now, the one is it's mature without smelling dated, but it's also a little bit playful in a sensual way. I think it's pretty accessible, every bit as accessible as the original or the EDP. Um, you know, but at the same time, it's not juvenile. Yeah, it's sweet a little bit, but it's not in a juvenile bubblegummy type of way. It's a more of a refined type of sweetness. So for that reason, I think maybe for the teenaged people, it's not going to be super appropriate. I would say males age 20 plus, all the way up until, whatever age. But yeah, I think, 20, this is for the mature young man or the mature middle-aged man, whatever. And always, in a, wear this with formal clothing, I would say, or semi-formal, wear picture what you would wear on a date to a nice restaurant, for example, or picture what you would wear to the office. Maybe not black tie, but you want to put a little bit of effort into what you're wearing when you put something like this on. Anyway, that's my opinion. So, my final thoughts. Oh, pricing. You have to go over pricing as well. This one is not on the cheap side. And before, like I said, this was originally designed to fit the Middle Eastern market. Why, you might ask? Well, Dolce and Gabbana released their exclusive edition line to be, suited for the Middle Eastern palate. Now, what I mean by that is essentially they added more spices and a little bit more woods to this particular one. And the other two in this exclusive edition line, well, they added more, let's say Middle Eastern centric notes. Like, for example, Mysterious Wood has oud, rose, and saffron, and Luminous Night has the addition of plums. All right, for example, so those can be considered as your typical Middle Eastern style notes. Now, having said that, I definitely think this is not going to offend anybody in the West. Everybody in Western society is going to enjoy this one. This is not off-putting whatsoever. It's not overly strong. The notes are not overbearing or anything. This is really accessible. Anyway, for the longest time, this was only available in select stores worldwide, but now I have the pleasure of telling you it's available in North America, albeit not at a really low price. I know FragranceNet has this 100 milliliter bottle for about $150 US, but if you subscribe to their email list, that price goes down to under $100 US. And I know Fragrance Buy also has it for, last time I checked, it was somewhere around $107 Canadian. So all in all, if you subscribe to mailing lists, you'll be able to find this one at a fairly reasonable price. Now, for my final thoughts, who am I going to recommend this one to specifically? What am I going to say about this? Well, look, if you, for example, do not own either the Eau de Toilette or the Eau de Parfum version, but you know that you enjoy the DNA, maybe if you've smelled it in a store or you've smelled it on somebody around you and you know you like it, but you don't own the EDP or the EDT, I would say definitely go for this one instead of the other two, because it's really similar scent-wise, but the performance is just better. It's a better bang for your buck. So that's what I would say. On the other hand, if you already own the Eau de Toilette and you want to take it up a notch, I say skip the Eau de Parfum and go right for this one. Now, if you are somebody who already owns the EDT and the Eau de Parfum, and you enjoy them and they're just working for you, I think this one might be a little bit redundant. So if you're a person who owns those two and you're happy with them, I'd say maybe steer clear of this one. That's just my advice. All in all, it's a really versatile scent. You could maybe get away with wearing it in the office, but at the end of the day, I think the 1DNA is just perfectly suited for close encounters, date nights, romantic situations. It's just got that type of DNA. It's really nice. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for my review tonight of Dolce & Gabbana's The One Exclusive Edition Royal Night. I hope you've enjoyed it. So if you've enjoyed the video, please give a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And as always, keep it real. We'll see you next time.